Good evening, Dominica. What time is it now? 6 p.m. in the beautiful Isle of Dominica, people. And you know what time it is right here on the big station Q95? It is time for the other side. Every Tuesday evening, we come here at 6 to 7:30, or should I say 6 to 7? Let me get my times right. We present views which are different from what you normally hear on a range of current events, right? So let's dive in. That's what we say, right? Let all views contend as we dig deep and get into the other side. I love that smile. I love that smile. Guys, I'm in studio again. I'm Tanya. I'm joined with Sam Raphael, and Kenny Green. And we do have a special guest coming in with us today because this is the second part of the three-part series about the CBI. Yeah, people were on the second part. If you didn't hear about or listen to the first part, then you need to go on the Q95 Facebook page, take a look at it, listen to it, and get yourself updated. But we're on the second part. So we'll be tackling today the application process with regards to the CBI. But before we do that, we're going to do a little throwback because it seems as though we had some questions that went unanswered last week, Tuesday, that, we feel it's important yeah, to give some answers to, right? And I think we'll start off with Kenny.
Hi guys, how are you? Good evening to listeners.
Yeah, you're hearing okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you loud and
Okay,
clear.
great stuff. Great stuff.
I believe we're going to start off with some questions that you received.
Well, yeah, there were a couple of questions near the end of this show that we just didn't have time to complete on. I think the first set came from Mr. Robinson
Right.
that called in, and
And then Bernard Allen.
yes, the first question that Mr. Robinson had asked that wasn't answered was what made the quote unquote investors in the pure sense, given that they were essentially investing, so to speak, to qualify for citizenship. And if you don't mind, Sam, I'd like to use Jungle Bay as a reference, as an example. Okay, so with Jungle Bay, for example, the applicants basically buy the villas and they get a certificate of title, and that entitles them to apply to go through the process of application for citizenship. But they have to enter into an agreement with Sam and Jungle Bay so that Jungle Bay can then use the villas as hotel space for guests who buy nights at the hotel, like you and me and anyone else. And the investors are given a return on their investment annually, and of course offered stay at the Jungle Bay Villas as part of their package. But the villas that you're saying staying in does not belong to Sam. They belong to the people who purchased them as part of this application process. So they've invested in Dominique and they've invested in these villas, and they are the reason why we have these villas to stay in, along with Sam, of course. So yes, they're investors. The other question I believe that Louis Robinson asked, he asked what was my relationship with Anthony Hayden. An interesting question. Anthony Hayden is in the CBI space. I'm in the CBI space. We occupy the same space and we're on decent terms, but that's the relationship as far as it goes. There's no any special relationship between us. So that I believe were the extent of the questions from Louis Robinson that we didn't get to answer.
Okay, great. Thanks. So when you can move on now to answering Bernard Allen's questions. You had a couple of them. Would you like me to read the first one?
Yes, please.
Probably you and Sam can. So he asked, Kenny or Sam, you were asked how long have you been a CBI agent and how many citizenships have you facilitated? You both answered how long, but felt that it was not the business of the people to know how many citizenships you had facilitated. How is that transparent?
Okay, so Tanya, none of these programs, nowhere in the world do the agents or developers divulge the data for which they are responsible for? Because they're private businesses. We're all private businesses. What there is an obligation to is for the programs, the countries themselves, to be transparent enough to divulge how many citizens are granted citizenship, or how many applicants are granted citizenship, and Dominica does that. I think last year in the budget, the government announced for the last 3-year period how many applicants divided by the different options for application. So, by the real estate option, by the donation option, and by the housing option. And that is the obligation that transparency grants governments to be able to put forward. Sam, I don't know if you want to.
Nothing to add there. I agree with you. Go ahead. You're batting good. Can you continue?
It's a strange question. It's. I think it may come from the confusion that people seem to think that the government is paying us, or paying the developers, and that is not so. This idea of a right to know private developers or private agents business this is not a Dominica issue. It's a global thing. No one does it. There's not one country where agents of any sort divulge the figures about their businesses. However, as I said, the governments do have an obligation, and some do not fulfill that obligation, by the way, to give the figures of how many applicants are applying, and even the successes and the rejections.
But Kani, do you think that this this idea of proprietary information is taking precedence over the confidence of the public? I feel like the issue is, I think, across the board when it comes to CBI transparency and the public not having confidence in the program because let's bring it up one time, billions of dollars missing, dun 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 dun, and I think a lot of people think if certain information was put out there, they may feel a little bit more at ease about, this claim of the billions of dollars missing or whatever is happening or how much you guys are getting paid and making off of this. And, you know,
Tanya, I will follow up with what Kenny said. I would let him answer. By the way, greetings everyone from this is Sam. Tanya, nice to be here in the studio with you. This is not Pick on Sam Tuesday, so be nice to me today, Tanya. Okay, try.
I thought it was always the other way around.
Okay, there you go. Following up with Kenny's question, the question is value. What value does it serve the public to know how much business I did personally and how much business Kenny did personally? Nothing. If it says that the government processed X amount, how much of that did Sam make? It really is, am I being rude to say, none of your business? And I will leave it at that. That's what we said last week. Why is it that people have to find out what John gets in his pocket, what Steve gets? We have this guy. To me, that is a kind of warped small-mindedness that I am not going to go into. And if people think that's transparency, you come from a different planet, quite frankly. Because I know no one in business goes out and throw out, oh boy, I sold so much and so much stock. Why don't you go and ask a grocery owner or whatever it is? It's nobody's business. It's my business to transacting that as long as I operate within the framework of the law. And I have no difficulty in expressing that. I think that there's no value to the public to know how much Sam Raphael or how much Kenny Green made or how much Tanya made or how much whatever, so that's my point.
But Sam, I think it actually goes beyond that. I think it actually is about the knowledge gap. And Tanya, I think the real answer to the question is that we're here to be able to fill those knowledge gaps, because I really do believe that some people have put it out there that somehow we need to be audited and that there's some untoward thing happening. Many agents do not make any money. Many developers fail. I mentioned before that over 100 projects in a certain island, only 3 are completed. What do you think happened to all of the others? They turn into NPLs in many cases with their loans at the banks. So it is, I think we have a responsibility at least to educate people, educate. And if you educate people and they understand, well, this is not something that is actually typically in the public domain, then they understand that it's not something that is an issue at all.
Hmm. Hmm. So let me, I don't know, it probably doesn't sit well with me because I could understand wanting information to especially dispel the claim that's out there with money missing. You know, how do we dispel that claim then?
But what difference does how much I make as an agent? What does that have to do with the question in which you're raising?
I
I
think
don't. To me,
I
it's
think
just
as
we
well.
have a
I think
habit
as
of
well the
minding people
public
business in
feels
this
as
country.
well. And I think the public feels as well. This program, it's not trickling down. They feel that it's one set that is benefiting from the program.
Mhm,
You know, that's just word on the street.
mhm.
So when you feel that way, you then want to know who those persons involved in the program, then how are they, what are they earning? How are they doing? Why it is I can't see my way? Why is it not benefiting me? Why I'm not seeing my salary going up, or I didn't get help with my business, or whatever it may be,
So Tanya,
happening.
how does it affect you if I make $20,000 last year from the program? If I made 50,000, if I made a million, how does that affect you? That's my point. You see, it adds no value to that other than you in your mind sitting instead of minding your business and trying to improve your life. You're focusing on how much maybe I'm making. And this is, I'm being honest, I'm just being
I
straight up
love
with
that. No,
that.
I love that. Be honest. Let them hear
This
your
is the
honesty.
this is the real deal, and that's what it's about. And I'm not gonna play into that. And I
So
think Kenny,
what other questions have we got from
Oh,
there? Are there any other questions?
yes, there were other questions, but I did want to ask you something though. I
Yes.
want to know, since you're so I think basically from your answer, you guys are saying that there is transparency. You guys are saying that the program is transparent enough.
the government has stated the number of
Right.
persons,
Do
and
you
that is
think
the
though,
important
do
thing.
you think that there can be some more transparency? Do you think, what is your suggestion to increase the confidence of the public in the program?
That's a very, very good question, and part of it is why we're here. It is to be able to speak openly. You remember on the first show I mentioned that the reason why other agents and developers are so loath to come forward is the amount of personal abuse they get for stating facts about the programs. Because in every jurisdiction, this is not unique to Dominica. I've seen it in Grenada, I've heard it in Antigua, in St. Kitts, in St. Lucia. It's all the same that the program is attacked by the oppositions, and what happens is that there is a wedge formed against the program, which obviously is something that becomes politicized when the programs themselves are much more important to the overall population than it is to be a segmented thing between one party or the other. So it's important for people to step forward and to so-called take licks to be able to impart information. You were here the last week we were here, and Tanya, and you, when we went through the real estate kind of the program and explaining it, there was nothing there that was um, manufactured or made up. It was pure facts. No one could contest the stuff that we brought up. But most people don't know these things. They don't know that the developers are having to put skin in the game and have to use their own money. People actually thought that the government are giving money, aka passports, to developers, and it's some kind of convertible cash thing that is just turning into hotels. They just don't understand that. And it's not because they're being malicious, it's because they're not reading one, and Sam was right. All of the information is on the website, cbiu.gov.dn. But people in Dominica and across the Eastern Caribbean, we have oral cultures, which it has been passed down throughout time. And so people prefer to listen to someone they consider a trusted source to tell them their interpretation of what the information is supposed to mean. And if that person does not pass down the information in the correct way, then you have a huge misinterpretation of what the program is. And that's a problem.
Sam, do
So
you have
that's
any
why we're here.
suggestions? Yeah. But Sam, do you have any suggestions? How can we increase the confidence of the public?
Again, Tanya, Kenny and I, we have work to do. We get no return on investment for this program. Right? For that matter, we have to pay the sponsor to educate the public. So that's my answer. I'm doing my part.
Right.
I believe be above and beyond because this is not a part of my job description. So I think as we come in here earnestly trying to dispel myths, and provide information along with our guest. And I see our guest is sitting there patiently. We'll get to
Yes.
him. We are just trying to help to increase, to reduce that knowledge gap, to provide information. Now, with that information, I'm not saying that everyone will think the CBI program is good. Some of my dear friends have philosophical problems that they don't believe in the concept of CBI. That's okay. But just to get out the information of how the program works, that's what we're trying to do. So I think those that are on our side here who are agents, etc., the government side need to be more forthcoming with information. I support that. But then I think the other side that's trying to learn need to really be honest about it and to seek to grasp the truth and the honest information and not be so quick to grab at any negative idea. Because if you don't like the government, anytime anyone says something bad about the government, even though you know that that may sound ludicrous, you're going to grab it because this to you is insulting to the government you don't like. And I think there's a lot of that going on. So that conversation takes two sides. We will honestly, as we're doing, try to put out the information. You may hopefully learn something from it, and you may still not like the program, and that's okay. But we just here to kind of lay out the facts. And I think that's how we're doing our little part, but everybody needs to do their part.
Let's take this last question from Mr. Allen. He asked, what has happened with the development at the entrance to the old Coconut Beach? Is it true that the project has been stopped because the foreign entity which partnered with the developers were not happy with the quality of the work or cement mix or otherwise and so pulled out? If so, what then happens to the citizenships allocated to this agent for this project? Are they withdrawn? Please clarify if possible.
I will try to get that, Kenny, and then I guess we're going to go to our
Yes, and we're going
our
into
guest
our
because our
topics
guests
tonight.
can even speak to that too.
Okay, great.
Tanya, I was surprised
Mm-hmm.
when I saw something. This is my competitor, okay? So I'm not there to praise my competitor, but I was surprised when I saw the pictures of the inside of that thing. It's amazing. They're busy working from inside out. So when you pass, it looks like there's not much work being done. I saw the models they've set up, and I was really impressed. So to answer that gentleman's question, there's a lot of work being done in that project, and it takes a lot to impress me. I was impressed by that. So even when you go on to the thing, what are they going to do with the rest of that? You see, you already come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And now you're even seeking to go further. And this is how the unfortunate misinformation is just passed on, and we build on
So
misinformation
the
too
project
much.
has not stopped.
It has not stopped. It's ongoing. And Mr. Nanton, if I had the ability to share on the screen, I would share the images, and Dominicans would be impressed with my competitor. And I'm not praising. Don't go to my competitor. Come to me. But I'm just saying, to be honest, the developer and the developer is Mr. Alec Lawrence, who is a Queen's Counsel here, and he's been working on this development for a while. And I was kind of looking at it, and as I passed through there, on the outside, it don't look too good. I have to concede. But trust me, there's a lot of work going on the inside of that project.
Well, let's welcome His Excellency. He's there, we just have him sitting there. Let's welcome him. Mr. Nanton, how are you?
Hi, good evening. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Hope you're doing okay. For some reason, I'm hearing you all quite softly.
Quite
It's low.
softly.
I'm not sure how to adjust the volume on my phone. I went up and down with my buttons on the side. It
Well,
goes to
we're high
zero
up over here.
to
The
like
levels are
0
the
to 2 on the
highest.
scale to 10.
We're hearing you very
So we're
clearly.
hearing you clearly.
Okay, good. So,
Maybe you should try
we'll
some
continue that way, but
headphones.
I'm fine. Did you direct a question to me besides how am I? I'm doing fine.
Well, the last question was about the development at the entrance to the old Coconut Beach. I think people
Oh,
believe that
okay,
the
okay,
development
yeah.
has been halted.
I'm talking to you from my house at Picard, so I can actually see that development. If I go outside my door, I can see that development. It's the Anichi Resort. It's a Marriott hotel project being done by some of the developers. Anichi initially started off as Silver Beach. They are in fact doing quite well. I think I heard Sam explain what they're doing. So when you drive down past the old Coconut Beach, you see about 4 or 5 buildings out on the hill. These were the initial 4 or 5 buildings that were done, but that is of a total of about 13 or 14. And the company now are on the last one of all of the 14. But if you drive past on the road, you see about 4 or 5, but 14 take away 5 leaves 9. So you have the other buildings taking place on the other side, going down to the Coconut Beach side and coming back around, coming on into back onto the road. The entrance to that hotel is actually on the southern side of the property. That is just after you leave Secret Bay. So they're coming out now into the last 2 buildings that's coming on, and that will be the entrance of the hotel, and that is happening there. And as I've mentioned, I had the opportunity and privilege of visiting the site not too long, and what is called the MEP work is being done on the site in the project. So in the project, they have rooms that are completed, they are painted, they're installed, you have bathrooms, you have toilets, you have showers, you have beds, you have linen, you have furniture, they're fully outfitted. And from what I have seen, they look absolutely spectacular. I was speaking to the developer, one of the guys working there this week. Invest Dominic Authority visited the site on Thursday gone, and they were saying that they're going to be starting on they're doing stucco, not paint, the stucco thing on the outside, and they're finalizing the company, the local company that will be doing that. A challenge there is that you haven't got many companies in Dominica that do that large scale, and therefore they have the challenge in getting an appropriate company in Dominica to do the stucco. But that will start it off in the first month or 2 in 2020, and they're looking to start off and really open up by the end of 2022 to 2023. So the hotel is on site, and they're moving forward. I have heard what you said from many people, and I've told that to the developers as well. And every time they hear it, they laugh. They say, I mean, different people work differently. So Sam puts out periodic reviews on his project. Sugar George out at Tranquility puts out almost weekly reviews on his project. Anichi chooses to do the thing differently. So they do the work and they market to their salespeople and their shareholders. So they do differently. They don't put out a thing every week or every month or whatever. But trust me, the work is going on. So for the people who would say, I haven't seen anything different, well, it's because you haven't been on the inside. But it is absolutely lovely. The building, the quality of the finished work is stunning. The view from the hotel is absolutely magnificent. And I must say, I am proud that we have this project as part of our CBI project here in Dominica. Well, good evening, welcome. Thank you for having me on your program to talk of CBI. I was told you want me to talk about the processing and the success of the program. And it is my pleasure being here with you.
We're going to go to a quick break first. And guys, if you're listening, and yes, you're hearing that voice, that is His Excellency, people. I know that's a special thing for this radio station, you know. We have to keep it real. That's a special thing for this radio station,
One love.
Emmanuel Nanton. So you need to keep it locked. We're going to be right back right here on the other side. And we're back, people. And we're back, people, to the other side. In studio this evening, I have His Excellency Emmanuel Nanton here to give us all that details about the CBI and the application process, and of course your usual, peeps, your company on a Tuesday, Sam Raphael and Kenneth Green. I call you Kenneth. I like that. It's professional. Kenneth Green. It feels weird to say Kenny. Kenneth Green, and of course the regular schmegular degular girl. Yes, Tanya, just here to host. So, as I said before, this is the second part of the three-part series of the CBI. We're talking about the application process. Should I give Mr. Nanton the floor? Do I just start with questions?
No, I think Mr. Nanton is going to
Give us a brief.
give us a brief on the process because I think he needs to explain that. And also, Mr. Nanton, I think, I don't know if you're prepared for this, you can give a outline of the projects. Not just, we know about the hotel part, but where else has that money gone? So we need to hear from you the list of where all those billions have gone. Yeah, Tanya, you want to hear that?
Mr. Nanton, please. Let us start with the easy stuff first. Let me ask, what exactly is done with regards to due diligence?
Okay, so let me just say again, it's my pleasure being here with you and to discussing with you the CBI program. It's a program that was started in March of 1993. It was started off by the Freedom Party administration, the Eugene Charles and the government. I would say back then, as a young laborite, I thought of the program and I had some concerns myself. I was in opposition as a laborite, supporting the Labour Party. I was a public servant. By supporting the Labour Party, I always had a love and passion for labor. Clear. There is absolutely no doubt about that. So I started to wondering and thinking and had my own concerns as well. But when you put away the political clout and you start to look beyond the government having means of doing things, then you say, okay, let's go forward. So for the Citizenship Investment Program, someone wants to invest in Dominica to become a citizen of Dominica. You may ask yourself, why would that be? For a large measure, it's because where the person is coming from, the benefits of the citizenship is not as strong as what we have here as Dominicans. Simple. And that is something that Dominicans not often take time off and reflect and see the privileges we have as Dominicans. So for tax purposes, for instance, a Frenchman would apply for citizenship in France, and we have had several of them. And when you interview them, say, why would you want to be a citizen of Dominica and give up your French citizenship? They say, I am retired. I am looking at future planning for my family. If I die and I have to leave my inheritance for my family, a lot of it goes out in tax. I prefer to let the money go directly to my family, and therefore, because there's no inheritance tax in Dominica, I will give up my French citizenship, take on Dominican citizenship, so my family benefits. If you have an American who want to apply for citizenship, most times it's because that American has been successful in his finances, and most times they have investments outside of the US. So for an American with investment outside of the US, they pay tax on worldwide income. If they invest in China, or if they invest somewhere in Europe, or if they invest in the Middle East, they pay taxes all over wherever they make money from. That's why every time you go to open an account in any bank or credit union anywhere in the world, you have to fill in a form to say that you're an American citizen or not. Dominicans, we don't do that. So Americans do not want to pay taxes on worldwide income. Will say, I want to give up my US citizenship and become a Dominican citizen. The other reason you would have is because some people would say, okay, I can't travel as much as I can on my passport as I can do on the Dominican passport. Some years ago, we had a visa-free travel for Dominican passport for about 120 countries. In the last few years, the government has expanded that to be over 160 countries worldwide, either visa-free, visa on arrival, or e-visas. So a lot of people want that. And sometimes when I stay in my office and I look at the applications coming in, when I look at Qantas, I look at Emirates, I look at the big airlines, the captains of those companies are applying to be citizens of Dominica. And you have to say, whoa, why? Oh my goodness. These people, they travel for a living. And they know the ease of which they could become citizens, they could travel the world on a Dominican passport and therefore they give up whatever passport they have to get the Dominican passport, or in some cases they maintain what passport they have, because like Dominica, their country can have allow people to have multiple passports or multiple citizenship. So they get Dominican passports, and when they go to work, they fly around the globe. They do that on a Dominican passport. On my last trip in Egypt, I met an elderly man. He told us he had 150,000 hotel rooms. 150,000 hotel rooms around the world. And he said, you know what? I go around the world on this Dominican passport. I'm very proud of it. He said, I live in Egypt. The government of Egypt have offered me citizenship of Egypt many times, but I do not need it. Because on my Dominican passport, I go everywhere. He said 2 weeks ago, I was in Russia. I go to Russia, they watch my passport, they watch me, they stamp it 1 minute, and I go in. I go anywhere around the world with my Dominican passport. Now, he can now go to China, where a lot of business takes place on the Dominican passport, visa-free, for 3 months. You could go to England, Hong Kong, Schengen countries, a lot of Africa countries, so many places. Dominicans do not look at that or are even are aware of that. So people apply for citizenship because they want to be able to move around the world. Some people do it because the country where they were born actually did not or would not offer them citizenship. A number of people in the Middle East, they are stateless, even though they were born in that country, and their family and their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents were born in that country. They're considered nomads. They're considered stateless. But they do well, and they have businesses, and they have monies, but they can't travel. So they apply for Dominican citizenship to help them to move around the world. So that's where we are. When you decide you want to become a Dominican citizen, you apply for citizenship. And when you do that, the first thing you have to decide is which agent I'm going to use. You go on the website, you must use an approved agent. You go through, would help you put your documents together, and there are about 16 documents that you put together in all. You have to do, you give us your CV, your certificates of qualification, you give us your bank statements printed for 12 months. We want to see your bank account. How much money went in and out of your bank account, so that our due diligence can look through it, look at where the money is coming from and where they're going to ensure that you're not involved in corruption and money laundering. You give us your medical report, your blood test, your urine test, your fingerprints. You give us your CV, your education background, references from the field where you work, a number of other things, and we check through. We send all those things to a due diligence firm.
Oh, so it's not done in Dominica.
Sorry?
The actual due diligence is not done in Dominica. You send it to
No. I can stay in Picard or in Bonn, or somebody or my staff can stay in Roseau and say, how does this man, how did they acquire his money, and who is he? We don't know that. So what we do, we use the best DD firms in the world. There are a group of firms in the world that do due diligence for governments and for the major financial institutions. People like Bishops, people like Thomson Reuters, people like IPSA, and a number of others, SRM. So we use those firms that the major governments in the world and the major financial institutions in the world depend on for due diligence. And what they do for us is not just due diligence. What they do for us is called enhanced due diligence. So if the bank wants a due diligence, they could go on and do it for you. When you do enhanced, you have to go on the ground. There must be boots on the ground. The person lives in Johannesburg. They have to go to Johannesburg, interview people in Johannesburg, give us pictures of the house where the person lives, pictures of the house office where the person work, interview neighbors of the person where they live, interview people who work in the same industry as the individual in the industry where they work in Johannesburg or in Vienna or in Sydney or in Los Angeles or anywhere for that matter. These
It must be very costly, Mr. Nansen, to pay those outside agencies to do that enhanced due diligence.
So we pay those firms handsomely for due diligence, And we pay them for due diligence on every applicant who is over 16 years. If you apply, we don't pay you for one family. It depends on how many people are in the family. We pay per family, and we pay per jurisdiction, because once a person has been for longer than 6 months in any one territory or any place in the world, you have to do due diligence on them wherever that person was for more than 6 months for the last 10 years.
So what can that cost look like for one individual?
Sorry?
What can that cost for enhanced due diligence look like for one individual, one applicant?
For the main applicant, it is $7,500 US. And every member thereafter, above 16, $4,000 US. So for a family, you could end up paying $50,000 US for due diligence on one family. And we get the information on every member of the family: where you went to primary school, where you went to secondary school, where you graduated. They would interview people who you went to school with you, what field you work now, what field you worked last year or 10 years ago. They interview people in all those fields, where you resided, give us pictures of everywhere where you resided, your neighbors everywhere, where you live for more than 6 months for the last 10 years, etc., etc. So they go through and give us those things there. They assess the bank statements. They will say, okay, that account had monies coming in from another account that was not declared by the investor. Can we get more information on what those monies were for? Or can we get statements if the account is from the investors' other accounts? Can we get prints or printouts of that other account? So we do a very high level due diligence on all of those. But that due diligence is done by international companies that work with us. That's one level of due diligence.
Can I ask
Secondly,
you a question though?
one second. Can I just do a little
Sure, go
more
ahead.
on DD? Secondly, that is not the first DD that is done. Once you apply, we have certain information that we take from every applicant, and that is sent through intelligence. By that, I mean every country has an intelligence unit that links up with global intelligence. And global intelligence require certain documentation to the checkup on different people. So intelligence gets that information, and it goes to what is called JFCC, or impacts, in Barbados, Trinidad. These are the regional intelligence for the Caribbean, and they would send out that information to international intelligence. So everybody who applies has to be vetted by intelligence. And by that, I mean by every major intelligence unit worldwide. That is both intelligence in terms of crime, criminal records, intelligence based on security threat, and intelligence and financial intelligence. So it goes through every financial intelligence unit globally. It has been looked at for money laundering or things like that. So intelligence deals with all those things, and that is a global thing. That's not done by the unit. So we send to intelligence, who go on and link up with all international intelligence through different arms, and then it goes out separately after that to a firm hired and paid for by us. Intelligence we don't pay for. That's regional international cooperation. But when we do the enhanced due diligence, when we do boots on the ground, those are paid for, and they go out to look at your home and interview people where you live and where you work to get back to us. Once that is done, the files come back to us from those two different units for clearance. My staff at the unit would go through those reports and would in turn check on every report and score the report one by one. When we score the report, they would look at a number of fields. So the fields they would look at, for instance, would include political affiliation. Is a person a political affiliated person? It would include money laundering, financial checks. It would include, I mentioned political exposure, criminal sanctions, criminal actions, criminal sanctions, investigations and prosecutions. So my report would tell me this person in the last 10 years has had one case. In the court, the case was for that, or the person has been sued in that court for that, or the person had that case and that is what was the outcome of the case, or the person currently has a case in Beijing or in Singapore or in Holland, or the person is being investigated for corruption or for money laundering, etc. Sometimes they say this person had 20 suitcases, or that person had a bounce check or 3 bounce checks and things like that. So it would give me a general picture of how the person stands criminally and how the person stands in terms of legal matters. It will give me a business, employment, and affiliation. How do people in the field where the person work think about them? Whether people, their colleagues think that they're corrupt, think that they have a pull string for business and things like that. The employment records, whether they were fired from their jobs, whether they left voluntarily, whether they have accusations in the field where they work. It will give their reputation of the individual. This person is of good repute. This person is of ill repute. This person has a dubious reputation. It will give media coverage, and that would include coverage in the news, general media houses. It will also include coverage on social media, Facebook, Link, all those different things that you know the young people know well about. It will give us a personal disclosure and non-disclosure, and the facts and forms that they go through. Did they declare all their interests and all the businesses that they have? Is there business that they left out? If so, why did they leave it out? Are there concerns in 2 of their businesses that they did not want to declare, so they did not put it in? But we found in the records of the state that they are shareholders or directors in X, Y, and Z company, X, Y, and Z. I'm not the Z thing. I'm old school. I'm the Z man. The X, Y, and Z company that they did not want to disclose, we would know. They would tell us about their financial risk and sanctions. Are they named on any sanction list in any country or whatever? And then we go through and we do a score of the applicant, and that score is normally over 32, and we see where we are, and that's where we are. So,
Okay, so the passing score is 32. You're saying how do you?
It scores over 32.
Okay, can you break that down for me? I guess I don't understand. What does that mean? How much do I need to make to pass to be able to,
No. Generally speaking, somebody who scores 27, 28 would be easy score, flying colors. If you go below that, then we start looking at where you lose points. We may decide to call you for an interview, and then we check through. If you're down below the 17, 18, below that, then you're failed. Yeah, of course. If by any chance, for any reason, you did not get the green light by intelligence, then you fail. So if you're flagged by intelligence, there's nothing we do about that. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. I would also say that when people apply, we do not accept their monies up front. When you apply, you pay your processing fee to process the file, and you pay your due diligence fee. After we get your due diligence report and your intelligence report, and we assess you. If we think that you're good enough, we say that you have met the criteria, and you're free to apply. And you should now pay at the government account the monies the simple monies that are required. We give you the account details where you have to pay and the amount that you have to pay. After you have paid that is when we would give you what is called a certificate of naturalization. That is a certificate that makes you a Dominican.
Okay.
Let me say first, when we score and we find that the person is of a good reputation, the unit makes a recommendation to the Prime Minister, who would accept or decline. And that's after we get that approval from the Prime Minister, we would write to the client to say, you have been successful in your application. you have good now you can proceed and you pay. We tell you where to pay, how much to pay, and that's what's done. You pay into the accounts. The unit has nothing to do with the government accounts. You pay into the accounts. That is government accounts. We vet, we qualify, we score. We don't use the monies. That has nothing to do with us. That is the Ministry of Finance, separately independent of the CBI unit. The CBI unit will then, after you have paid, will then prepare your certificate of naturalization, send that to the Ministry of National Security, where the Minister Blackmore or his acting minister would sign and make you a Dominican citizen. We give that certificate to the agent who accepts that certificate as a person right or as a Dominican citizen. And we finish with you. The agent would then apply, like any Dominican, or would or would not apply for a passport, and you get a passport and you continue. But the unit has nothing to do with a passport. So there's no way that Sam Raphael or Kenny or Nanton or the Prime Minister or anybody else would walk around with passports to sell. We have nothing to do with passports. We issue a certificate to the agent. The agent will use that certificate and apply for a passport with the minister, as any Dominican with the immigration department out in Roseau. And as I'm on that, you will see that that is a billing going on upstairs immigration department. That is because the government has upgraded our passports to a biometric passport. And all Dominicans, every Dominican, you and I, and those who are here, those who reside abroad, no matter what method you became a citizen, through born, whether it was done through descent, your parents were Dominicans, whether you were born through CBI, whether you are a Vincentian national who have been living in Dominica for a long time, or Haitian national or Islamic Dominican national living here for a long time, and you qualify, whatever your route to citizenship, we ask you to go to the passport office and upgrade your passport, get a new passport. That is a biometric passport. And because we have going to facilitate all our citizens, we're doing an extension to the immigration department upstairs that will be opened up in January to facilitate all Dominicans to come in and change their passport. So the nice green building you see in there with the red roof, that is an expansion. That's an expansion to the immigration department to facilitate Dominicans getting their new passport or changing their passports to the upgraded passport. That's where we are on that.
Well, thank you so much for that information. Because we're pressed for time, I just have 2 questions I'd like to ask you. Is it prescribed in law that there must be a due diligence performed for every application? Is it prescribed in law? Is it in the law?
Yes. That is part of the law, and there's no way around that.
Is there? You can direct us to where we can find that.
I don't have the copy of the laws with me, so I could get back to you on that. I don't have the copies of the laws with me, but as part of the procedures that we do, the unit will only consider your application after we get the due diligence on the person. So we wouldn't do a citizenship for anybody without having a due diligence report on that individual. Every individual must go through a due diligence that's done by one of the companies that do due diligence for us on our behalf.
Okay. You have any questions, Sam? Of course not. No?
I think, Mr. Nanton, I want to ask, and I asked, Oti l'argent là, Mr. Nanton, what did this money pay for,
now,
Mr.
of course,
Nanton? Tell the
in
people.
terms of the achievements of the
Because
program,
they say the money's missing. We want to know where it went. We want to see it.
Oh, Lord.
in terms of the achievements of the program, I mentioned before that there are benefits that the average Dominican has as an individual, and we don't even pay any cognizance to. And people pay. Sometimes people pay lots of money to become citizens of Dominica. So many people do it all over the world, and our citizens themselves do not even realize or recognize. And part of the rumors that would go through again would be about passport. I mentioned that we don't do anything with passports. So as I listen to people say, "Boy, can you sell my passport for me?" No, it doesn't work that way. A passport, every passport is the property of the state, and it is on the book that you have. is the property of the state. My passport, Sam passport, Kenny passport, your passport is owned by the state. You are allowed to use those as citizens, but it can be recalled by any time by those who issue it to you. Now, in terms of CBI and what is done with the monies, some people would say in Dominica, almost everything you would think of would come from CBI funds. Today, one person spoke to me and said, I have a lot of payments in the treasury, but they say it's on the CBI funds, so it's not been processed yet. So let's go through. So the government would build roads on CBI. The government would build schools on CBI. The government would support the small business unit on CBI. The government would do buildings on CBI. There's so many things that's been done on CBI. But if you look at some of the projects that are done directly under the CBI with funds of those, of course, you would recall that we had Tropical Storm Erica a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And the government came in and had to redo an entire village. Mm-hmm. And the government went in and did 353 new apartments in Bellevue-Chopin. Those were units that were done, residential units. They did a commercial plaza. They did a farmer's market. They did a football field. They did a basketball court as a model community to replace the beautiful and scenic Bellevue-Chopin.
How much did that cost?
Sorry?
How much did that cost?
No, I don't have the figures on the individual cost of those programs, but I could tell you the programs that were done. So that was one lovely project that was done, for instance. Then we had the hurricanes, and after the hurricane, the government went in and did the East Coast housing project. That took 350 housing units in Castle Bruce, La Plaine, Daly's, Grand Fort, Saint-Sauveur. And these were houses that were built and given to the people of those areas. Then I myself, I'm in Portsmouth. I saw the houses, and we have seen the houses that were done in Picard, at Georgetown, in Portsmouth, and at Cotton Hill above the Purple Turtle, another 140 units that were done there. You had the petrocastles that were damaged by the hurricanes and were redone in Bellevue-Chopin. Then we went on and we did about 100 more units in Grand Bay, in Stock Farm, and in Jimmet. So in housing alone, we have seen the government deliver over 1,000 homes. High-class, good quality homes to citizens all around Dominica. When you drive along the riverbank in Roseau by the stadium, you see the buildings that have been done again. 2 of those just completed. Those will be residential with some allowance for commercial purposes in one of those buildings. So you have that happening out there right there in Roseau that people will see. Outside of those homes, we have seen a number of other projects, for instance. I mean, we mentioned already Kempinski. Kempinski is a lovely product. It's a lovely project. I remember growing up as a boy and going to bathe in Crusher. And I remember the days when Crusher was the dumping site for our garbage dump out in Portsmouth. When PDC pick up your rubbish, it dumped it at Kempinski. It dumped it at Crusher, where we have transformed that garbage site into this lovely world-class facility. And people who come and stay, they say, this could be anywhere in the world. Sam has done a lovely job out at Jungle Bay, out in Soufriere. And I was with him last week, visiting again his expansion and the work that he's continuing to do. And as a Dominican, I'm proud of the work that Sam is doing and the number of people that are employed by Sam in that project.
Are there plans, Mr. Nanton, to invest in money in other sectors of our economy, probably in agriculture? Other plans?
I'm coming. But if we
I'm just pressed for time. Sorry, because just now we need to.
Yeah, in the interest of time, I mentioned the houses that we're doing. I meant I did not mention that we did 13 health centers in Vickers, in Coliho, in Maho, in Belle-Bishopper, in Newtown, in Marigot, in Penville, in Georgetown, in Ansdeme,
That's a
in
lot.
Bacatel, and in Soufriere. We have done health centers. So the ordinary Dominican benefits from health services at those areas. And of course, the new modern Marigot Hospital that will be commissioned in the first quarter of next year. So I mentioned houses, and because there's so many, it sounds so long going through the whole list of houses. 8,000 houses given to more than 8,000 families all around Dominica.
I wish you
Something
could give
there.
us the amounts too. I wish you could have,
Yeah.
divulged that type of information as how much spent, but
And then I mentioned the health centers and the hospitals, and these are communities all around Dominica. Then I mentioned the hotels. Dominica, most of us would agree, was lagging behind in terms of its tourism product. We now can boast as being the 5-class destination of the Caribbean. Nowhere else in the Caribbean are there more 5-star hotels being done. Anywhere else as it's been done in Dominica. Not in Barbados, not in Antigua, not in St. Martin, not in St. Thomas, in St. Croix, in Trinidad, in the Grenadines, nowhere. Dominica is the 5-star destination of the Caribbean. The Caribbean Mercure is one of the highest high-end location globally. And we in Dominica, we are heading that destination with 5-star destinations, 5-star projects like Kempinski, Tranquility, Marriott, and Marriott has also agreed to do another Marriott in Roseau on the old public works site. Timbo's downtown, the Rainforest Eco Resort in the valley. You have Jungle Bay we mentioned, Bacotlet that's been done out in Soufriere, Ocean Edge that has been done that will start soon in Roseau South area there. I mean, all those are being done around Dominica. We have a project that will be looking at bottling and exporting Dominica water, high-class quality water to the global market. That will be done on the CBI. Of course, I'm not talking about the funds that go to the elderly all around Dominica. Every Dominican can see somebody at their home or in their immediate family or in their neighborhood that's getting money through the Yes We Care program, taking care of the elderly. Every Dominican can name by first name, middle name, last name, and nickname somebody on the NEP program that's benefiting to put food on the table. Every Dominican can identify roads that have been done in the communities with money from the CBI. We're just doing another school in Maho. That is again monies from CBI. And of course, I did not mention that in all our lives as Dominicans, we all wondered and hoped when how will Dominica get an international airport? And in the first quarter of next year, CBI, Citizenship by Investment, is going to fund a over $1 billion with a B dollar investment in creating implementing that elusive project that my mother wanted to see in Dominica. That elusive project that the British wanted to see in Dominica when they governed this country. The elusive project that E.O. LeBlanc wanted in Dominica, that Patrick John wanted in Dominica, the elusive project that Oliver Surfing wanted in Dominica, the elusive project that the great Marmor Mary Eugenia Charles wanted in Dominica, the one that Edison James, the one that Rosie Douglas, the one that Pierre Charles and Jesus Christ wanted for so many years. It has been done. CBI, CBI, CBI. So, of course, you hear criticisms and you say, you expect that. This program is doing so much for so many people that we all know. There's absolutely unequivocally no doubt. I step outside my house, I can see somebody who is benefiting from CBI. I step into my village or my town or my community, I see the infrastructure being done by CBI. I go to work, I see people in the tourism industry, people will benefit from the airport, people benefiting from the health centers that's been done all around the country, people benefiting from the community center that is being done in Vickers, the one that is done in Trafalgar, and in Portsmouth just last week, the Prime Minister came to Portsmouth and said, you know what, we are going to build a modern government building, administrative building on the site of the old Portsmouth Town Council and Public Works, so that the people of the North can get the services of government from a proper government building. We haven't had that in Portsmouth at all. A little police station here, a government school by there, you know, and the government said, you know what, we're going to build a modern first-class building, administrative building in Portsmouth that will come in with a bypass that will go around Dumbleck through what we call area called Bawa to the Indian River Bridge. We will build the first modern bus terminal in Portsmouth, and that is funds of citizenship by investment. So really and truly, Aisha Lidai Blanc, CBI is assisting the granny in Bellevue Chopin. CBI is assisting the grandpa in Monkey Hill, the young lady unemployed in Jubla, the young man on the side of the road cleaning it up and making Dominica look so much more beautiful in Penville, in Trafalgar, in Scottsdale, and Soufriere. I had some friends who came to Dominica some years ago, and they said, Nanton, I have been coming to Dominica for the last 20 years. And that friend was here before the hurricane and said, I wasn't seeing anything happening in Dominica, so I haven't come to Dominica for about 8 years. When I picked him up at Douglas Charles Airport, drove into Roseau, he picked up his phone and he called his wife and he called her by her name. And he was coming from St. Martin. He said, Dominica have better roads than St. Martin. That was his first thing to his wife. Then the following month, he came back to Dominica with 15 members of his immediate family to spend 2 weeks in Dominica. And they stayed at a hotel out in Dominica. And to me, Dominica is our new home. We love the place. Then I met him about a year after in Trinidad at the Hilton. And he said, Nanton, you know, I'm here with my family. It has nothing to offer as Dominica.
God, Mr. Nanton,
Then the year after that,
don't go there, don't go there, don't go
no, I'm
there.
telling you what the person said. The person said that they
Tanya's from
were-
Trinidad.
Yeah. But when
Tanya's
the
from
person-
Trinidad. You have to
a year
excuse her.
after-
She takes
One
up-
second. A year after, the person said, Nanton, you know what? We found somewhere that we can compare. And we believe they're edging you out in the Caribbean. I said, where is that? They said, Martinique. They said the landscaping and the upkeep of the side of the roads and the flowers is so beautiful in Martinique. They beat you out in that in Dominica. And now, when I go around Dominica and I see the roads that have been cleared by young people making it look beautiful, I say, you know something, we getting points on that line. With the flowers that we're planting in Bellevue, and those that we're planting in Jubland, in Collioure, and those we're planting on the side of the road in Vickers, we've seen that. So I'm just saying what people said to me. I'm not trying to be biased or say it is true or it is false. I'm saying what people are saying to me. And sometimes we learn from what other people do, and we benefit. So sometimes some people do not see the benefit and the advantage of the people who are going out enhancing the view and the look around Dominica.
Right.
But truth be told, look at it. Stop and think of it. My friend just came and he pointed out to me, he said, Nanton boy, Martinique beat you so bad because the side of the road are so clean and they plant so many flowers. And you ordinary Dominica would not look at that. But when I look, I said, boy, you're right on that. But now with the enhancement program that's funded by CBI, we are making steps along those lines. We're not there yet. Martinique is still nice in terms of landscaping and the maintenance of the side of the roads, etc. But we are getting there. And that's been done through the CBI. But I mean, I've been talking for a long while.
Yes,
sorry
I was
about it.
going
There's
to
just so
tell
much
you on that note,
to talk
we're going
about.
to take a break. We're going to have to take a break. And when we get back, guys, we're going to open up the lines. I'm going to give you the numbers right now. So get prepared to dial 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097 and 616-4257. So feel free to give us a call when we get back. We're taking a short break. This is the second part of the CBI series. We're talking about the application process. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the other side here on the big station Q95. In studio, we have Samuel Raphael. Huh? Sam Raphael. Sorry, I'm saying Samuel now because I'm thinking Miss our oh gosh, forgetting the names. His Excellency. He looks a little distracted.
Emmanuel
Yes,
Nanton.
Emmanuel Nanton. Yeah, people, we're making history here on Q95.
Yeah. No, I was just doing the research for you. You asked me a question, which part of
I'm
the law?
hearing you, Mr. Nanton.
Yeah,
Okay, now we're
yeah,
hearing you.
yeah. You were asking which part of the law that mandates
We jump right back in. But let me
Yes.
wait, 1 second. And of course, we have Kenneth Green with us. We're talking about CBI here, people. Second part series here. Second part of the 3-part series. We're talking about the application process. And we're just going to open up the lines. But let Mr. Nanton explain which part of the law we can see
Yeah.
that due diligence is.
So the 2014 Commonwealth of Dominican Citizenship by Investment Unit SRO 37 speaks of it there. So that's where it is. 2014 Commonwealth of Dominican Citizenship by Investment Unit SRO 37 of 2014. Okay, you could check back the details there.
Okay, thank you for that.
Section 4, subsection 11.
Okay, great.
SRO 37 of 2014, section 4, subsection 11 speaks to the need for due diligence.
Okay, great. So as I said, people, the lines are now open: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, and 616-4257. We have Mr. Nanton here. I think, great explanation on everything. Would you be willing to take some calls, Mr. Nanton?
Sure, why not?
We have one coming in right now. Let's take the line. Good night. You're on the other side.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
To you and to your guest in studio. I'm listening to Mr. Nanton, and it's interesting because one gets the impression that we really do not need any other industry or any other sector in Dominica. CBI will deal with all our problems. And before CBI, Dominica was basically non-existent. There were no roads, there were no health facilities, there were no government housing schemes. There was absolutely nothing. Dominica was just in total darkness. What we want to find out from Mr. Nanton and others is what impact does CBI have on our GDP and our debt to GDP ratio? And what impact does our CBI have on our current high cost of living in Dominica? What impact does CBI have on all the deteriorating feeder roads around the country, which is highlighted by the abandoned land we are seeing all around the country? What impact does CBI have on the decimation of our agricultural sector that we have been experiencing because we are seeing the numbers are telling us quite a different story.
Okay,
What
caller.
impact does TBI have on the amount of foreigners that are being employed and the no bid contracts that we are seeing happening, and the changing of the procurement law to facilitate illegality, to facilitate Anthony Hayden and Montreal management? These are the things we want to know. And what impact does CBI have on all of our unaccounted billions which are outside the treasury of Dominica, as admitted by Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit?
Thank you for
These
your
are
call.
the things we want to know. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Let's try to keep it short, people, and sweet. That was a lot of questions to remember. So, okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. My dear, the caller asked or said that Mr. Nanton speaks like they it's nothing else or something like that. I would never, ever, ever, in my wildest dream, as a Dominican, want to think of it like that. I mean, I want to see growth and expansion in agriculture. I want to see our farmers and our florists and people who plant so many things there, whether it's vanilla, whether it's orange, bananas, whatever thing. I want to see agriculture flourish in Dominica. I don't want just CBI. I want agriculture to be strong. I want fishing to be strong. Of course, man must eat. The world, the globe must eat. Dominica has a reputation of being a breadbasket for the Caribbean. I want that to be strengthened in every way. I want to ensure that tourism grows and expands. So Barbados and St. Martin and Antigua and St. Thomas and St. Croix has been so strong in tourism for so many years. I want Dominica to be part of that. And CBI is helping. When you look at the hotels that we're doing, it's helping. And the air access that we're doing, CBI is helping. I want to see manufacturing. I want to see manufacturing for our agro products. I want to see manufacturing for light goods and light industries. I want to see water bottling and move forward. You know, I want to see those things. But you know what? Because I'm close to a number of people in the government, I know that the government want those things as well. So the government put in the Citizenship by Investment program where you could invest one through a direct government fund, but that was amended in 2014 so that you could invest also in a real estate. And there's nothing in the law that says the real estate must be a hotel. So the private sector, like the guy who called, and others, have to come up with the ideas they believe that are going to enhance the private sector growth and expansion. I want to see geothermal grow and expand. I want to see energy production, greenhouse and green gas and everything. I want to see those things grow. The government want to see those things. We want to see a public sector and private sector partnership. And Sam here is an example of that. Somebody who used his private skills and God-given talents and ingenuity to partner with the government to create a lovely hotel that the world would enjoy. Range, Mohammed and his partners from Range did that at Kempinski. We want to see Jungle Bay did it, Tranquility is doing it, Duncan Stowe will do it with Timbos, we're doing it up in the valley, yes, but we want to see other things. So the ordinary Dominican has to look at the program and say, you know what, let me get on board. I may say one thing or another because of my political affiliation, but truth be told, come on, at the end of the day, CBI is not about politics. CBI is not about Labour or Freedom or UWP. They have all been there. They all support it. They all run with the program. CBI is about a public sector, private sector investment. That's where we have to work. Get off the back burner, put up the ideas, get the partners, and let's see how we can make it work. We can make this thing work, but we have to do it together as Dominicans, and let's not have petty bickering or fighting with each other. Let us do it for the interest of ourselves, the interest of our families, our communities, and of course, our country would benefit as a result of that.
Can you want to chime in? You wanted something to say?
Yes, yes. I wanted, we have limited time, but
Yes, we do, and we have lines are,
yeah, I wanted the ambassador, if he gets a couple of minutes later on, to explain how someone can apply for a project, to get approval for a project under CBI, because he did mention something important, that it can be anything other than a hotel as well, but you obviously have to put up a full project plan and business plan and financial cash flow, etc. So it'd be good for him to explain the process of how you apply to be a developer. Okay?
Okay.
Yes, I could look at that as well. But the caller also mentioned about debts to GDP and per capita, Dominic, and so on. I mean, these are absolutely magnificent points that he made mention of. And the other, not the other day, before I was in CBI, I was looking at those statistics as issued by the central bank for the Caribbean. And Dominica, we were in the bottom quarter. And when you look at the recent figures and statistics, we are in the top tier, in the top 3, in terms of per capita per individual. So we have moved, caller. You haven't seen that? I'll get somebody who have your number to send it to you, to send you the statistics, because we have moved from the last quarter to the first quarter of those things. And in terms of our debt to GDP, my goodness, we're shining, man. We're shining well. We're doing well. We're doing very, very, very well. So these are points that we have, that we celebrate as a people, we celebrate as a nation. You understand? So yes, let's get those figures, let's get the statistics, and let's publish them. But time is short. And Kenny asked, how do we?
I don't. Should we tackle that now? You guys, we should tackle that now. I think we
I
should.
mean, we only have Ambassador Nanton on this program, really, and if it's a critical thing,
Yes.
you could
So-
maybe be
I
on
wouldn't
point
say
with
it's
it,
critical.
Ambassador Nanton. But
Yes, I
yeah,
wouldn't say it's critical, but if you all want to discuss it now,
because
yes.
no, people want to know: is it a closed shop? How
I'm
do
not
they
sure,
get in?
I am not sure if they want to know.
Okay. Oh, they
You
don't
know,
want to know.
we
that.
should. I feel like we should also open the lines to hear what they want to know.
You control it.
Well,
but briefly, okay, I could answer that in short for Kenny. Somebody has an idea. They prepare a project that they apply to the government. They must write to the Prime Minister through the chairman of the Invest Dominic Authority. Yes? So your project must be to the Prime Minister, but it must go through the chairman of Dominica Invest Authority. The chairman would then submit with a cover note to the Prime Minister, who would give his inclination. Then it goes to a technical committee that comprises of different departments of the government. I will go through to look at it, go look at the shareholding, look at the structure, look at your bylaws and so on, look at your financial strength and so on, look at your marketing plan, look at your budget, look at what how much citizenship you're looking for your project. Then that will go to a cabinet subcommittee for citizenship by investment project. Then that will go to the cabinet, then we'll get approval. Then they would write to the CBI to say this project has been approved, and these are the number of citizenship that is allocated for this project, and then we go on from there and move on from there. In short, that's all it is.
okay, let's take that call that's coming in. Good night, caller. You're live.
Good night.
Good night.
I don't know why he's on Q95 all the time, all you lies. Nanton is a great thief and a liar. Are you using financial to do all the dirty work?
Next question.
Do we have another call coming in? Let's take that. Caller, you're live. Good night. I feel like the caller is right there, but we're not hearing them. Caller, you're live.
Yes, good night.
Good night.
Yeah. I want to say good night to Mr. Nanton,
Good night.
body, and also your panel tonight, Mr. Raphael. And I've been listening tonight, and I want to really congratulate Mr. Nanton. There's some form of clarity in the way you expose this information tonight, and I believe that there's a great knowledge tonight has been shared with Dominicans. and I want to appreciate this contribution tonight. Tonight.
Put on your radio, please, caller. But thank you for your contribution. I think we had another call coming in.
Yeah. I
Let's
could
take-
just, as we waiting for the other call, I could just give some figures to the caller before that who asked about debt to GDP and the impact by CBI. Really, in 1999, it was 10,300 per capita. In 2017, it was 20,600 per capita. And it is projected to be 27,000 per capita in the next 3 to 5 years. So yes, caller, CBI has done that. So these are some of the achievements as well. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to remind and inform the listening public of all those wonderful things that CBI is doing. Thank you.
On that note, let's take another call. Caller, you're live.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to the entire panel. I have two questions. One for Emmanuel Nantan and one for Sam Raphael. Let me shoot at Sam Raphael.
Let's
first.
keep it nice
Sam
and
Raphael.
brief.
Nice and brief. Sam Raphael, 2 weeks ago you made a statement where you mentioned about people jealous of successful businessmen and stuff like that. Let me ask you, Sam Raphael. Did you ever file for bankruptcy in the Virgin Islands? Did you or did you not?
Never.
Okay. Now, Mr. Emmanuel Nantan, to you now, you explain all the due diligence that has been happening on the citizen investment passport, Mr. Nantan. So how is it that Alice Development Foreign escaped on you all and came into Dominica using Dominica as a safe haven for all the criminal activity he committed? Can you answer that? Can you speak to that, Mr. Nantan? You were the one hosting him in Dominica while he was wanted by Interpol. How about that?
Thank you, caller.
Yeah. Yes, I think the gentleman asked a question about a gentleman by the name of Ali Raza Munfared, who was brought in by the government of Iran for investigations for what was perceived to be quote unquote crimes. The gentleman had a due diligence that was done on him by the top firm in the world on due diligence. That is Bishops, and he was cleared. There was nothing unbecoming of the gentleman. The report I was in the CBI unit at the time. It happened before I was in the unit, but I read the report that said the young man had left Iran, where he went out to study in Malaysia. After studying in Malaysia, he opened a business there. He lived there and opened business there, and he had a very high regard and reputation in the country. As a matter of fact, the report went on to identify that he received the highest honor awarded by the country, by the state of Malaysia, to any foreign national because of the work that he had done in that particular country. Subsequently, there was a change of government in Iran, and I understand that the government said that some of the things that was done were not using the correct exchange rate, and he was taken into question for that. That is something different. When the deal was done, the young man had an excellent reputation in the country where he resided, and he had an excellent reputation with the country where he was from, and there was absolutely nothing unbecoming of him at the time. Okay, caller, have a nice night.
That makes me wonder, Mr. Nantan, like, do we do follow-ups?
Yes, we
because
do.
People
Yes,
do
we do.
renew these passports, right?
So when we do
follow up in terms of due diligence, keeping an eye. I'm just saying because they will renew at some point, and I mean,
I was saying yes.
Things do change.
Yes, the companies that do due diligence for us, as part of our contract, they continue to follow you for at least 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that would pop up on you, they will send us a notice. Say, well, this article came out on this person. We have to look at it and follow up. Or this person is in court for X, Y, Z. So the short answer is yes.
Okay. Let's take another call coming in. You're live on the other side.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I listened to Mr. London say that he wants Dominica to be like St. Martin in tourism. He wants Dominica to be with bananas. He wants everything, and they want to see. How long are we going to wait to see that? 21 years, your government in power. You still waiting to see Dominica like this? for 21 years. No matter how long are we going to wait again to see that? The CBI fund that we have out here, what is it can we show it doing in Dominica apart from the building the house that all you say? That's all you using the CBI fund to build. And before, all you are saying is Venezuela money. As soon as the opposition leader talk about CBI, all you start saying is CBI money. How long are we going to be party show on all you? Or you can't take us for food?
All right.
Dominica.
Thank you, caller. Let's see if Mr. Nanton can answer
Yes,
you.
yeah. I think the caller made a reference to St. Martin. Caller, when you listen to me, I want you to carefully listen to my choice of words. I am particular with diction. So I said, when I spoke of St. Martin and St. Thomas and Barbados, I said in terms of tourism. Emmanuel Nanton, I absolutely love this nature island, Dominica. I love our greenery. I love our fauna and our fauna. I love our culture. I love those things. But in terms of tourism, a number of countries in the Caribbean has gone ahead of us for many years. And now we have to do some things that will improve, not necessarily like those countries and go exactly like them, but we have to improve some things there. So when we do the Jungle Bay, that is a different experience. You cannot get Jungle Bay in Barbados. You cannot get Jungle Bay in St. Martin. You cannot get Jungle Bay in St. Thomas or St. Croix. Neither can you get the fine ingredients of Kempinski. Oh my goodness, world class, absolutely wonderful. And you put that in a place like Dominica with all that greenery and fauna and flora and how beautiful the country is above land and below the water. Oh my goodness, with our culture and our cassava and our dasheen and coconut milk and so on. Oh my goodness, Dominica, oh my goodness, God, no, please don't take me wrong. I want us to be like South Africa in some areas, but not like, come on, Dominica is unique. The joy and pride and passion of that country is so great. Comrade, don't mistake us for yours. No. Not like that.
Tanya,
Wait,
can I add a little
Well,
something?
we have 1 more minute,
Oh,
okay?
No, then I wouldn't take
Yeah, we
that,
have
yes.
1 more minute, guys. And I don't even think we're going to continue taking any
Maybe
more
Christmas
calls.
greetings. It's Christmas. It's so great that to have Ambassador Anton. You have to come back, because my goodness, you were on fire tonight.
Nah, man.
You're gonna have to
Even
come
when I
back
talk of
and-
Dominica, I'm a Dominican. I have never ever wanted to live anywhere else in my world, in my life, than Dominica. I am in love with this place. I love this place. So whether I'm in government or I'm in opposition, my passion for Dominica has always been true and strong. Whether it was labor, freedom, workers, or whoever, I am a Dominican true and true. I'm a Dominican at heart. And I love this place. Absolutely.
All
No
right.
doubt.
On that note, I'd like to thank you guys for this show tonight. I think it was very informative, and I'm hoping we took away a lot of information. I thought it was
I thought it was quite good. Thank
it
you
was
so much on
informative.
behalf of my co-hosts, Kenny and Tanya, Ambassador Anton. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And you have to promise that you're going to come back at some
Why are
point.
you making
Maybe not
you
next
putting the
week.
man in a buying on air like
No,
that?
I'm telling you, I want him to come back because, it's good that the people hear you over and over, because what they've done, like some of the callers, they demonized you. They made you into a monster in their
Sam,
heads. And now people are saying you're real, you love this country, you're pushing this country, you're running an agency, you have facts. So I think we need to repeat that because the other side have been repeated too many times. So we need you back here to continue to repeat that and to reinforce that message. Folks, it's Christmas week. I think we should be, and Tanya was nice to me. Maybe that's why you were nice to me, Tanya.
Anyways, people, happy holidays. 7:31 in the evening here on Q95.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank
Kenny,
you for joining us on the other side. Have a good day.
Compliments of the season to everyone, and I hope you guys have a great season, whatever you do.
the Q
Thank you
family,
very much for
Sheridan,
having me. Good
Gregoire,
night to
the
the
whole gang.
Dominicans.
Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.